My name is Ashish, and it's a privilege to bring the word to you. Now, today we are talking about a subject which is relevant to all of us. It's relevant for all of us. Whether you're a student, a homemaker, a corporate professional, whether you run your own business, whatever you may be doing today, whether you're studying or in college, school, wherever you are, it is going to be relevant to you, because we're going to talk about what are you doing with what God has already given to you in your hands. What are you doing with what God has given to you? Now, imagine with me a garden. Imagine with me a garden which you would have seen over the years. Just imagine you've seen a beautiful garden which is vibrant, colorful, growing, right? Can you all imagine something? Somewhere, sometime you would have seen something like that. And now, just imagine you visit it after a few years, and all of a sudden that particular garden is dry. It's got thorns and nettles, and it's overgrown and forgotten. Have you ever seen something like that? Something that was beautiful has all of a sudden changed. Now, the truth is, sometimes our lives can start looking like that. Because not because we are bad or we are not taken care of by the Lord, but because the Lord has provided to us something in our hands, but we have not tended to it. We have not taken care of it. We get distracted, and before we know, the things God gave us start to decay. Start imagining and start thinking, what is it that God has given to you which has started to decay? So today's message is about the power of faithful stewardship. We're going to look at two passages, Proverbs chapter 24, verses 30 to 34, and Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. Large passages, but we'll look at them over a period while we go through these sections. Now, Jesus talks about talents in Matthew 25, 14 onwards, And I did a search, and you all know this particular parable. He gave 5 talents to one, he gave 2 talents to one, and he gave 1 talent to the third servant. And the search said the talents actually, 1 talent is about 6,000 denaries. And at that time, 1 denarii was 1 day's wage for anyone. So approximately 20 years of wage is 1 talent. Now, that's a lot of money. 1 talent. We take it very lightly when we read it and we say, okay, 5 talent, 3 talent, 2 talents, and 1 talent. But that's a lot of money. And someone who's been given 5 talents, just imagine the amount and quantum of money he's been given to manage and take care of. So most likely this person is actually giving away his property to these 3 people and saying, manage it well. I'm going to come back and take an account, It's not just कि अच्छा कुछ 2 चीजें दे दी, 5 चीजें दे दी, 1 चीज. It's something very, very valuable. And Jesus was saying, when I've entrusted to you, whatever I've entrusted to you, it carries weight. It carries value which is eternal. Whether it's your job, it's your spiritual gifts, it's your time, your influence, God didn't give it to you to be buried and forgotten. He wants you to tend, and He wants you to multiply it. So that brings me to my first point. God gives everyone a field to tend. Now, Proverbs 24:30 onward, it says, I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. And behold, it was all overgrown and with thorns. Ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken. The first verse is something that I want to look at. I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. Keep that in mind. Next verse says, for it will be like a man going out on a journey, Matthew 25, who called his servants and entrusted to him with his property. To one he gave 5, to one he gave 2, and the other he gave 1. To each according to his ability. Not just by fluke giving it away to anyone. It's according to his ability. He's given 5, 2, and 1. Now this man has a field. He has a vineyard. He has a land. He has an opportunity. It says, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. मतलब कुछ तो था उसके पास. He had something in his hand to take care of. But this man lacked sense. He had an opportunity, he had an inheritance. And the servants in Matthew 25 were each given talents, which was a large sum of money. Now, though it referred to money at that time, Jesus was using it symbolically. It represents anything God has entrusted you and me with today. What has he given us today? Because everything that he has given to us can be used for his kingdom. Has he given all of us equal time? 24 hours is what he's given each one of us. Has he given us abilities and gifts? Maybe you sing. Maybe you know how to organize things well. Maybe you know how to write well, much better than someone else. Maybe you know how to lead. All of us are leaders in some way or the other. In your corporate organizations or at home, if you're a parent, you're leading your children or your spouse. If you are a student, you might be leading in a community at your college or your school. If you are at a workplace and you say, okay, Ashish, I'm not at any position that people would look up to me. There's someone who's junior to you, who's looking up to you for encouragement, for instruction. There's something that you can lead. You have some gifts. Each one of us has some gifts or the other. That you can encourage someone, you can instruct someone, and you can lead someone. Some of us have relationships, spouse, our kids, our colleagues, our friends, our neighbors. They are all willing and wanting to be led in some way or the other. Some of us have been given resources and positions, finances, home, influence, affluence, our connects, our networks. How are we using our resources or the talents that God has given to us in our hands? The key is just having it doesn't bring it to fruition, right? Just having those things will not help us in any way. It has to be used. It's your stewardship with what has been given to you that matters. It's your stewardship that matters in the end. So what has God already given to you that you've parked in neutral? What has God given to you that you've parked in neutral is just sitting there stagnant. If we move to the next verse and the next slide out here. The next verse says, James chapter 1 verse 17, every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father. Genesis 2:15 says, the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden to work it and take care of it. He's expecting us to do something with everything that God has given in our hands. What are you doing? Now, tell me truthfully, how many of us have thought, I'm going to increase or better my health, and then we get encouraged and we go to the gym and say, okay, I'm going to take a 3-month membership or a 6-month membership or a 1-year membership. We all would have done that sometime or the other. But then we end up going for 1 week, 2 weeks, maximum a month, and then we forget about the subscription. We don't go through for the next 3 months or 6 months. And it just sits there doing nothing, right? Some of us, I see some smiles out there, so I know it's talking to you, and you've been one of those, right? The only weight that we've actually picked up is the pizza going into our mouth, and we expect something changing in us. Something is going to change in us. No, there's got to be something that we do regularly with the talents that are sitting stagnant so that it brings change. And same is with God's gift. Unused gifts decay. They are useless, they are futile, and you can't do anything with them. Point 2, neglect and laziness always leads to spiritual decay. Now, I have a friend who I visited, and in his veranda or balcony, there was water dripping out of his maybe air conditioner. There was water dripping. And I told him, there's water dripping. What are you doing? Are you doing something about it? And he says, no, it's in the veranda. No one goes there. It's okay. We usually close the door and it's okay. I said, fine. I visited him again next week and noticed again the water is dripping. I was saying, what is this? He's like, it's okay. No one cares. It's okay. Let's just let it be there. And week after week, I saw it was still dripping. He said, there's no harm happening. Let it happen. 2 months later, he comes to me and says, you know what? That water was dripping. And because of the drip, tap, 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 chal raha tha wahan pe. And then it was getting splashed onto the door that was right next to it, the wooden door. And you know what water does to wood, right? He's saying right now, it's got fungus on it, it's got algae on it in 2 months, and that wooden door is getting spoiled. Something that would have costed him maybe 200-300 rupees to get that water leak fixed now would require him to maybe repair or a big damage that has to be fixed, or the door has to be changed, something or the other, right? So small little neglect and laziness leads to big damage. Proverbs 24:31 says, and behold, it was all overgrown with thorns, and ground was covered with nettles, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I saw and considered it. I looked and received instructions. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. The field did not collapse overnight for this man who had this vineyard, right? The wall didn't crumble overnight or in a day. Neglect was slow. A little sleep, a little slumber. Now, God isn't condemning rest. Please don't get me wrong. God is not condemning rest. He's the one who took rest on the 7th day. We all know that, right? He wants us to rest after a hard day's work. But he's confronting avoidance, ignorance, negligence, and procrastination. And this is how we neglect work. This is how neglect works in our lives. You stop praying for just a few days. I miss up on my devotion time today. I'm very tired today. I stopped spending time with my spouse because I'm too busy with something. You know what it is. Let's miss out on the family prayer time today. It's too late to now pray. You say something, you say like, I'll get serious with the Lord a little later. And that later never comes. Forget praying over your family, your spouse, your children, your friends, your tough situations that you're going through in your daily walk of life. And then you start feeling distant from God, wondering, where is God? Why isn't God helping me out? Where is He? Thinking the Lord has left you in this tough situation alone. He's not the one who's left us. It's we who has left Him. Before you know that, weeds grow, walls fall, relationships crack, and you wonder what happened. Where did I go wrong in the first place? Another example that comes to my mind is, your vehicle, your car, your scooter, your bike needs servicing every now and then, right? Every 3 months, 6 months. And you say it's running fine. I don't need to service it. Let me save up on some cost. Let me save up on some time, some effort. I'll do it later. And then the vehicle coughs and sneezes and wheezes. And in the middle of a traffic jam, it stops. And the magic happens, and you're like, what happened here? How did this vehicle stop? Why did it stop? It was running perfectly fine. Because it required regular tending, which you ignored. Ever ignored an health issue? A small cough that lingered around for a month. A small pain in the back that lingered around for 2 months, so on and so forth. And that cough turns into something big, a pneumonia or a tuberculosis maybe, or a small back pain. I've been a personal witness to this, not doing what I should have done, and it turns into a bedridden situation for weeks and months. What are you going to do about it? Matthew 25:18 says, "But he who had received 1 talent went off, dug a hole, and hid his master's money." Now that 1 talent, I've already told you, it's 6,000 denaries, 20 years of wages, lot of money there. He could have done a lot to work it, to take some opportunities to grow it, to be utilized. But what did he do? He just went and dug a hole and hid his master's money. And somewhere in the middle of that passage, it says, "For to everyone who has will more be given, and he will have an abundance. But for the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." For the one who has not used what he has been given, whatever has been given to him will also be taken away from him and given to the one who has used his talents, has used what God has given to him in his hands. So what are you going to do? The servant didn't gamble with it, right? He didn't do anything wrong with the money that was given to him in his hands. He didn't waste the talent. He just went ahead and hid it. He did nothing with it. He neglected the potential the talent had. That was a lot of money he had in his hand. Today you have talent in your hand, and that talent has a lot of potential. What are you going to do with it? That is what the master was angry about. Because he neglected what he had in his hand and what potential he had. And it was lying there in the state of neutral, stagnant, doing nothing, dug up a hole and hid it. The hard truth is, if you don't use what God has given to you, He will give it to someone else. Not out of anger, not because He hates you, but because every work that you do is somewhere or the other for the kingdom work, and He cannot let kingdom work go idle. That time cannot go wasted. So He will somehow or the other utilize it. Everything you do out of obedience to God and His word is adding up to the kingdom work. I'm also reminded of the credit card bill that comes to us. And you avoid and delay and neglect paying for it for just a few days after the credit period. What happens? That wild creature called interest actually eats up like a snack into your salary for that month because you've neglected to pay it up in the right time. So make sure you have some tiny habits in place. Read up 1 chapter a day of the word so that the Lord can speak with you. Pray for a few minutes every day in the morning before you get out of the house, over yourself, over your children, over your family, over your loved ones. Call that loved one every week for a few minutes, Little repairs prevent big damages. Are you willing to do those little repairs today? We all have fallen prey to this. We all fall short, and we all just forget what the word instructs us to do. Are we just going to listen to it, or are we going to do something about it? It's in our hands today. Hebrews 2 verse 1 says, "Therefore we must pay much closer attention to what we have heard, lest we drift away from it." Neglect doesn't make noise, it does the damage. If you don't tend to your heart, your talent, your marriage, your gift, your spiritual life, it will drift away. And there's no one else to blame but you. You don't want to be in that situation. So that's what spiritual procrastination does. Small delays lead to large but silent damages. Just like the water dripping and the door getting spoiled, and my friend not even getting to know about it. Third, faithfulness leads to favor. God's favor. Faithfulness leads to God's favor. Matthew 25:19 onward, it says, "Now after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered to me 5 talents. Here, I have made 5 talents more. His master said, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. And he also who had 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here, I have made 2 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Now, don't we want to be ones who want to hear the Lord saying, Well done, good and faithful servant. You've done the best that you can according to your ability. Each one of us have been given different set of abilities, and the Lord wants to see you work that ability to glorify Him for His kingdom work. God rewards fruitfulness and He promotes stewardship. Now, the master in the entire parable in the story is actually Jesus. The servant, the 3 servants, is actually us, His disciples and His followers. The talents is what He has entrusted to each one of us. And the return of the master is Jesus Christ's second coming. When He comes the second time, what will He see you do? What will He see you be doing? And when He takes an account, will He call you out and say, Well done, good and faithful servant? Now, the volunteer who teaches here at the Sunday school is actually living out and fulfilling this parable. The mother who nurtures and brings up her child in the right way is actually fulfilling this parable. The father who is present to the family and leads the family is fulfilling this parable. The teacher who invests in the holistic development of the children is fulfilling this parable. In young age, the children obeying the parents, listening to them, leading with their instruction, and in older age, those children taking care of the parents is actually fulfilling this parable. The youth volunteering to set up the church today to make sure all of us are taken care of and are comfortable to be in the presence of the Lord is fulfilling this parable. The doctors, the nurses, the teachers doing their work honestly and sincerely are fulfilling this parable. The person working in a corporate, working as though working for the Lord diligently, sincerely, effectively, honoring the Lord in every action that he takes, leading people, taking care of the people, is fulfilling this parable. The good news is God does not give people with identical or equal gifts. I've said this before. God does not expect equal or identical fruits from the gifts and talents he has given to each one of us. God isn't expecting you to multiply your talents like someone else. He just wants you to be faithful in your field with your own talent. Let's just return to that garden that I was imagining right at the beginning when we started off, and we said it was nice and beautiful and vibrant and colorful. Now imagine that gardener standing there, scratching his head, thinking, where did I go wrong? What happened? Why is this now in shambles and with thorns and nettles and everything is dry? How did this happen? It did not happen overnight. It happened through daily neglect, daily delay, daily ignorance, daily procrastination. Maybe today some of us are standing at that instance and that looking at that field, looking at that garden and saying, Lord, what went wrong? Some of us are standing in a spiritual field with walls falling down, weeds everywhere, and no fruit in sight. But the good news is this is not too late. It is not too late for each one of us. God is the God of restoration. He is the God who rebuilds. He is the God of second chances. Time and again, He will continue to give you chances after chances. And you can start watering your vineyard today. What is your action going to be like? Philippians 1:6 says, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. All of us have been given something. And He expects us and wants it to be completed. And He wants to complete it in us, in our lives, so that we can glorify Him. What is it going to be like? What is your action going to be like? Proverbs 24, verse 3, 4, 5 says, By wisdom a house is built, and by understanding it is established. By knowledge the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. A wise man is full of strength, and a man of knowledge enhances his might. Wise man is full of strength. He's not lazy. He will use his strength and use his talents to enhance his might and bring glory to the Lord who has given those talents to him in the first place. Luke 16 verse 10 says, Whoever can be trusted with a very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. Who are you going to be out of these two? Who am I going to be out of these two? In conclusion, God has given you something valuable. Use it. Neglect may feel small, but it compounds over time. Growth in the right direction seems very small. Growth in the right decision seems very small. Growth in the right action seems very small because there's no result immediately. It's very small. And you say, this is not making sense. But it compounds over time. Rest is something God has created. By all means, we need to rest. But laziness is something that God abhors. Faithfulness brings favor of the Lord. And faithful stewardship brings growth. Start now. Start today. Let's pray. Lord, thank you for every vineyard that you have entrusted to us and with us, Lord. Our families, our gifts, our ministries, our time, our influence, Lord. Thank you for what you've blessed us with, Lord. Let us not take it lightly, Lord. Forgive us for our seasons of neglect and seasons of spiritual laziness, Lord. I pray, Lord, today we ask for strength to rise up, to build again, Lord, to invest again, to be found faithful in your sight, in your eyes, Lord, I pray. Stir up faithfulness within us. Stir up faithfulness, Lord, that we may tend to the vineyard you have given to us. Diligently, joyfully, Lord, happily, Lord, faithfully. Help us to be good and faithful servants so that you can look up to us and say, well done, good and faithful servant. I pray that we would be servants who will bring joy to you, Lord. Take control of us and do the work of what we've heard that no one else can do. Let your Holy Spirit lead, Lord, and speak. And I pray that we would be willing to listen and obey and take action. In Jesus' holy and precious name I ask this prayer. Amen.